The ancient home perched on the edge of the town was always the topic of hushed conversations. Its tall spires and creaking gables cast long dancing shadows in the evening sun. To the children of the town, it was known as the Whisper House, but to Elaine, it was simply home. Elaine had moved into the house after inheriting it from her great-aunt, a woman of peculiar habits and an even more peculiar taste in wallpaper. Every room was plastered with a different pattern, intricate and beautiful, but somewhat unsettling. The first night as Elaine lay in bed, she heard it, a soft, indecipherable murmur. Dismissing it as the house settling, she drifted off to sleep. However, the whispers persisted, growing louder and more persistent with each passing night. One evening, as she leaned against the wall reading a book, the whispers became words. "Help us." Jumping up, Elaine pressed her ear to the wallpaper, heart racing. "Who's there?" she whispered. The voice returned clearer now. "Trapped in the walls." Elaine recalled her great-aunt's tales of workers who had gone missing during the home's construction. She'd always brushed them off as fiction. But now those stories took on a haunting realism. Desperate for answers, Elaine began peeling off the wallpaper. Beneath the layers, she found old, yellowed newspaper clippings. The headlines screamed of unsolved disappearances, workers never seen again after entering the Whisper House. With trepidation, she removed more wallpaper, revealing a diary tucked into a small alcove. The diary belonged to her great-aunt and chronicled a dark tale. Jealous of her younger sister's beauty and suitors, the great-aunt had made a pact with a dark entity. In exchange for eternal beauty, she'd offer souls to the being. The house's construction had provided the perfect opportunity. With a whispered incantation, she trapped the souls of the unsuspecting workers within the walls, their essence seeping into the very fibers of the wallpaper. The realization hit Elaine hard. The whispers were their pleas, echoing through the ages. Determined to free them, she scoured the diary for a counterspell. Under the glow of the full moon, Elaine began the ritual. As she chanted, the walls of the house shuddered and groaned. Then, in a burst of ethereal light, the trapped souls emerged, whispering their thanks, before disappearing into the night. Elaine hoped the torment was over, but the next evening, as darkness descended, a new whisper began. This time, it was her great-aunt's voice, dripping with malevolence. "You shouldn't have done that, dear Elaine." The house may have been free of trapped souls, but another spirit, one much darker, now roamed its halls, and Elaine realized that the Whisper House had merely traded one haunting for another. The days grew colder and more melancholic. As autumn draped the town in hues of rust and cold, Elaine, however, felt an icy chill that had nothing to do with the changing seasons. The whispers of her great-aunt grew more persistent and mocking. There were nights when Elaine would wake to find her bed surrounded by a thick, ghostly mist that seemed to breathe along with her. On one particularly grim evening, she heard a soft lullaby emanating from the old piano in the drawing room, a song her great-aunt used to play. Following the sound, Elaine found the keys moving on their own, the chair empty. The tune was nostalgic, yet now carried an ominous undertone. In the town below, whispers of a different kind spread. People spoke of eerie lights and ghostly apparitions in the windows of the Whisper House. Some claimed they heard haunting melodies during the dead of night. Desperate, Elaine sought out Miss Thorne, the town's historian and a reputed medium. With her sharp bird-like features and piercing blue eyes, Miss Thorne was a formidable presence. She agreed to hold a séance in the house. Surrounded by a circle of lit candles, Miss Thorne began to communicate with the spirits. Almost immediately, the room grew cold and a wind howled through the cracks of the ancient home. The candles flickered wildly as an unseen force seemed to pass through them. "Who are you?" Miss Thorne asked, her voice firm. A whisper responded. "Betrayed, angry." The great aunt's voice then boomed, echoing through the chambers. "This is my house." Miss Thorne, undeterred, continued. "You must move on. You cannot trap souls or harm the living any longer." There was a moment of silence before a chilling laughter filled the room. "You think you can banish me?" With a determined look, Miss Thorne produced a vial of salt water and an old talisman, known to be powerful against malevolent entities. She began reciting an ancient chant. The house shook violently, windows shattering and doors banging. The spectral form of the great aunt materialized, her face contorted in rage. But as the chant reached its climax, her figure began to waver. "No!" she screamed, her voice fading as the last word left Miss Thorne's lips. The room fell silent. The house, for the first time in a long while, felt peaceful. Miss Thorne turned to Elaine, exhaustion evident in her eyes. "She's gone. But remember, this house has seen much darkness. Keep it filled with love and light." Months turned into years, and the Whisper House gradually lost its ominous reputation. Elaine turned it into a haven for artists and writers, a place where creativity flourished. But occasionally, on a quiet night, if one listens closely, they might still hear a faint whisper, a reminder of the house's eerie past.